This is our poll source code management. So this one call it cron tab. And for the build environment, I will not check nothing. I will let everything as a default, right? Because I'm not yet integrate Jenkins with code pipeline yet. So I will go with the default, right? And then I will apply and save. So what I'm going to do now is create our code deploy and code pipeline. So before create code pipeline, you have to create the code deploy. So go to application, then create an application. We call it code deploy. I'm using EC2 instance. Then create a deployment group. I have explained all of this on my previous videos. And here call it deployment group. Then for role, you could deploy role, and for the key call it name, and we have Ansible. I'm not using the load balancer, so I will create a deployment group. One thing I want to clarify for it, for example, if we try to ping and see if there is a connection here. So we ping to Google, the ping does not work. Why, in your opinion? Why it did not work? The answer is because our Ansible server resides in private subnet. That is why it's not able to communicate with the outside. So what we have to do to let this Ansible server to communicate with outside? We have to translate its private IP address to a public IP address. So what is the service that enable us to translate a private IP address to a public IP address? Is the NAT. So for that we have to use the NAT and create a NAT, then assign that NAT to our private route table so that the subnets in the private subnets can be able to communicate with outside. So I will go to my VPC. And scroll down here and then go to the NAT gateway. So click on the NAT gateway and then create a NAT. I will call it my NAT, and which subnet I want to assign to it. I will assign it to the public subnet, because the public subnet can be able to get outside. If you select a private subnet, it will not work for you, because the subnets that are in the private route table are not allowed to communicate with outside. So to allow this NAT to go to the outside, we have to add it to subnets that are in the public route tables. I hope that is clear. Then I will allocate an elastic address. But I think that already there is an allocate elastic IP address. So I have to scroll down and then create that NAT. So once I create it, I have to go to the private route table and edit it. And then go to private route table and edit the routes and telling to this route table, look, if our subnets means our private subnets tries to go to the outside, take them to the NAT gateway. And then the NAT gateway will try to access to the outside. Then it in the public route tables here, let me show you. In the public route table, we have added this route. Means if any subnet with or any services within a public subnet that try to access to the outside, take it to the internet gateway. So how it is the scenario of the NAT now is, I will explain you that. So here I have my private subnet, and here I have my public subnet. And here in the public subnet I have a NAT. So we call it a NAT and give it a color. And this subnet reside in a route table. And here we have route table, right? So this is our private route table, and then this is our public route table. Then here we have subnet, private subnet, and here we have public subnet. So once this EC2 instance try to access to the outside, right? And that is here in our route table. Let me open that in another tab, and to here I will open, this is our public route table, and here I will open our private table, and I will show you how the route tables work. This is our private route table. So here we have our EC2 instance. This is our Ansible, for example, our Ansible server. Ansible.